SMTN.
All right, microphone, everybody good to hear me? Normally I try to be just really loud, but this is like the first convention I've like destroyed my voice before it started, so this is a good trend. So hello everybody, thank you for coming to the Shin Megami Tensei 30th anniversary, Persona 25th anniversary, Atlas 9 million year anniversary fan panel. We're basically just here to talk about whatever the heck we want to talk about because apparently this just has to be the anniversary year of all anniversary years. But how has everyone's Taiyou Con been so far?
Good. It's our first day here.
Thank you. It's your first and last.
Last day here.
But yeah, my name is Spencer Presley. If you have stumbled in here and don't know who I am, congratulations, you're the 99% of everyone out there. But I run a SMT community and podcast called Shin Megami Tensei Network. If you're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, basically everywhere that's not like Tumblr or Rumbler, I'm there. So it's a weekly podcasting community. You can always find everybody with stuff like Discord and everything on there. But let's jump into the panel because most of it's going to be just me asking, what do you guys think, talking about subjects, and getting in there. You can be as talkative or as untalkative as you want, so don't worry. I will still be doing a lot of rambling. But we're going to have a really what I think is a softball question, but it's mostly because I think someone's going to get it wrong and I can give a negative prize out because I need to get rid of this thing really bad. Besides Persona turning 25 and SMT turning 30, does anyone else know what other anniversary just happened in the last 12 months? Atlas related. Yes?
The only other Atlas franchise I know is Etrian Odyssey, so...
I'm sure they had something, but no, you are incorrect. But that means I'm gonna let one more. Yes. What'd you say? No, he said Etrian Odyssey. You can't do double Etrian Odyssey. All right, the three guys in the back came through. We're gonna throw it to you to be extra nice. So, Atlas just had a year of a lot of anniversaries. Obviously, Persona turned 25. SMT turned 30. Do you guys know the other one that just happened in the last couple of months? It's Atlas related. There was a release around it too. It's okay, everybody. It was Soul Hackers 2.
Oh, yeah.
Soul Hackers 2 was the 25th anniversary. Don't worry, like 5 people bought Soul Hackers 2.
I'm one of those 5 people.
But since you guessed Etrian Odyssey first, you get my first not Atlas prize because I need to get rid of this extremely badly. So you get this My Hero Academia Sanrio keychain. He is very stubborn. He will not break that easy.
Yeah, that's high quality.
So yes, Soul Hackers, which is SMT related as well, turned 25. Just out of curiosity, who here actually played or at least knows about Soul Hackers 2? By show of hands or noises. And then put your hands down if you didn't buy it. That's okay. Soul Hackers 2 is very good and super cheap, so if you ever find yourself being like, dang man, I'm all out of Persona 5 and SMT to play, don't forget about Soul Hackers, please. So, first up, we're just going to talk about Persona because Persona non grata and all that fun stuff. Persona just finished up its 25th anniversary, and by show of groans, moans, happiness, or whatever, how did we all feel about the Persona 25th anniversary?
It was an anniversary. They celebrated the year.
Is there anything anyone in here liked about the anniversary?
Ultimax coming.
I appreciate Ultimax being the first one that comes to your mind. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, obviously the most obvious one, which is we finally got Persona 3, 4, and 5 on model console.
Well, now you gotta wait a couple more days for 3 and 4 though, at least.
Persona 5 on Switch and Xbox is great, so more people can play it.
And yeah, you.
Finally being able to play 3. I played 4 on Vita and 5 on PlayStation, but I haven't got a chance to play 3 yet. So.
Are you gonna pick it up on PS4 or where at?
Pick it up on Switch.
Okay, yeah. Good. Oh, by the way, because I've been telling a couple people this, because there hasn't been a lot of coverage, but the people have the game through mysterious sources and whatnot. Good news, if you're one of those people who care, it plays the same on Switch, PC, PS4, and Xbox, so it's all 60 FPS for all the versions and stuff, so it's not like Persona 5, which did have a little bit of a lower frame rate for whatever reason. Here's a good question, because this usually comes up in discussion. Most of us here are all RPG fans, I would assume. How many people here usually care if a game is running at 60 or 30 FPS? Is there anyone out there? So yeah, for you, like, so what makes the difference for you that you care about it?
I mean, performance is like one of my, like, I don't want to say top, but it's up there.
So then for you, how did you feel when Persona 5 made the jump from 30 to 60? Because I'm actually one of the weirdos who, like, I think it looks like I'm playing the game in double speed at 60. Like, it almost feels too fast because it was made for 30 originally.
I mean, I prefer everything to be in at least like 60, despite whatever game it is, so not a big deal.
Yeah.
So, thing is, RPG is like one of the few genres, or like modern genres in my opinion, where you can go in at 15, it'll still be enjoyable. Like, that's my hot take.
Listen, that's how we get the Chrono Cross remaster. We can't have that kind of discussion. We're like, you know what? I want to pay for this game to run it. It's a PlayStation 1 game on a PlayStation 5 running at 23 frames a second. This is very acceptable. But yeah, so obviously, Marcus had mentioned a good point. Ultimax came out. I just want to get all the really painful questions out of the way early. Who here picked up Ultimax last year? That's actually like 5 more than I thought that would have been for it.
Both digitally and then like ordered the physical PlayStation.
Oh yeah, actually that's another great question because that was one of the first things that released and was digital only. Who here would have bought Ultimax if it wasn't digital only? Like if you could have gone to a store and picked it up? So yeah, there is a release that did come out in Japan with it, but unfortunately with it, it did kind of only have the Japanese release and stuff with it that did son of a bit. So guys, the next thing I kind of want to talk about with the anniversary in general, just kind of get your opinions on it with it. Who here was hoping to at least see a little bit more Persona 1 and 2 love? So then, how would you have incorporated it? You get to be Mr. Atlas. What are you throwing into the anniversary?
At bare minimum, more expanded merchandise to bring some of the characters back.
Not just through merchandise. So, like, for you then, would you have just wanted, like, say, like, are you thinking, like, a new version of it, like a remake or, like, a remaster? Or, like, what do you think would be fair?
Probably a remake or remaster, maybe porting it to other places so people don't have to use emulators for it.
Yeah. That'd be
I
very...
would prefer a remake since the gameplay rules game's kind of aged a bit. But apparently there's a rumor saying that 3 is getting the remake.
No, don't believe the 3 remake rumor, people. I know people want 3 remade. Yeah.
They don't need a remake. The games are already made on PSP. They just need to move them.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, that PSP trilogy of 1 and the 2 duology, I mean, obviously it's not as simple as just copy and paste it, but if you've never played them, the PSP remakes of them are extremely better than the original in almost every way. Obviously, Persona 1 has its quibbles and qualms and fans, but like a lot of those things can kind of be ironed out, and you are getting the most content-complete version of everything. Yeah.
So speaking of Persona 1 and 2, obviously 1 and Innocent Sin got a PSP version, but remember that they made a PSP version of Eternal Punishment, but it didn't get ported because they didn't want to put the time on it.
Yeah, it was Eternal Punishment got a Japanese-only remake on PSP, but it was literally, it came out after the Vita was already out.
Yeah.
So Atlas Japan was like, there's no point in us releasing a PSP game in
What I
2012.
was trying to say is that the fan translation is finally out for Persona 2 and Persona PSP, so you can get the upgraded visuals and a kind of an upgraded gameplay through fan translation. So
Yeah, but I mean, again, the whole thing with it is like, well, obviously it is great that emulation is always available, and there are so many games like we're realistically almost never going to get. It is one of those things that does always stand out there of like, we want as many of these games to be available legally as possible without having to tell someone, hey, go and download X, Y, or Z, and something like that. Just out of curiosity, just kind of get like a good gauge for the room. What's a good game you guys all started with, whether it be SMT or Persona? If you guys want to either raise your hand, and I can pick like that. Yeah.
Persona 3.
So which version? Fez?
Yes.
Okay.
I couldn't think of the name.
So did you play originally on PS2 or the digital version? There's always like the weird ones I like to get because like sometimes I'll ask like whatever people like started with and you'll get like the like 1 out of a million person who's like, oh, I started with dancing. Actually, I met somebody recently. Their first game in the like Persona series was seriously Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle. I can't imagine playing that and going like, I gotta get into this fucking series because that's like, I need to like meet somebody who's like, why do you like Ruby Cross Tag Battle? It's only because of Cross Tag Battle. Kind of going into a little bit more with the anniversary, we did have other aspects with it along with game releases, but just curious, did anyone here actually get to play Persona 5 for the first time because of the ports that came out last year?
I played the Switch version.
So everyone else here before, if you have played Persona 5, I assume played it on PS3 or PS4?
Yeah.
Are there any weirdos in here who played it on PS3?
Persona 5?
Yeah, Persona 5 on
Yeah,
PS3.
that's how I play.
All right, come here. You get the first prize. I always got to give a pity prize to the PS3 person. You don't even got to show me proof. I'm like, listen, no one would say that publicly unless you wanted to be ridiculed. It's okay. I appreciate
I
that.
didn't have a PS4 when it came out and I wanted to play it.
That's like the funniest excuse because it's like, dude, at that point the PS4 had already sold like 70 something million. I'm like, it's like just steal it from somebody. I'm sure somebody's got a PS4 somewhere. By the way, I highly recommend, because I always forget about this, and it recently came back up in terms of like relevancy. If I have time at the end, I'll try and pull it up. But in Japan, when Persona 5 came out, it was the 20th anniversary for the series. And at the exact same time the game released in September of 2016, there was a huge marketing push in Japan because they were doing a slim version of the PS4 and it was getting a price cut. And there's this huge commercial they made. They got like a singer. They made a full song all about Persona 5 releasing, the PS4 getting a slim version, and it's getting a price cut. And it's the most overproduced ad like of all time. It's this huge epic. But the reason it came up recently is somebody did a cover of that because of how bad the PS5 situation's been in Japan and the fact that the price went up. So someone made a cover version of it of like, PlayStation has been taking my money because I can't buy a PS5 for normal cost. Because most people might not know this, but obviously we all know PS5 has been really hard to get a hold of. Pretty much everywhere else in the world last year actually got a price increase. So PS5s are now more expensive by around $50 around the world and stuff. Yeah.
That's here too. At Walmart, it's like $5.50.
So the bundles that we're all going to see now are all $5.60, and that's because they all come with the game. So that's kind of like their way of increasing it without increasing it. But in Japan, they're increased and don't come with anything, but there's also bundles and other stuff. Actually, just out of curiosity, so by show of hands, like, what are you guys usually playing on? Who's playing on like PS4 still? PS5, Switch, Xbox. I appreciate that, and then PC. All right. I was gonna make a joke, but then the Sophie cosplayer made it, so I'll pass on. No PC jokes here.
Golden on Steam but never played it.
No, I think that just makes you the majority. Golden sold so many on PC that I literally think that's like a game people were just buying and gifting to friends because it was the pandemic and we all had $20 laying around. So one of the things, like I kind of joked about with the anniversary, was while we didn't get a lot of new games, we got a crap ton of merchandise and crossovers and announcements. Did anyone here either pick up, purchase, or hate anything that they would like to share with the room? Did anyone like get anything crazy for the anniversary? Yeah.
Do you remember when they said the Igor?
Mhm.
They were hiding that. And
The
they
secret
made some
image.
stockings. Some people try to act shocked, but then it's just Igor.
Literally,
What is
my most viewed video on YouTube is me. I made a video about that because like they did a whole stream. So on the bottom right, they did this whole thing, and you can kind of see the top left version, the little secret. They announced a lot of merch with secret hidden images, and they had a stream of, I think it was Yukiko's Japanese voice actor, opening up all of the pins on the bottom right, and at the very bottom, you see like an Igor picture and a bunch of the cast right there. Those were hidden out. Those were secret. And on a stream, she opened them up and didn't show it, and she was like, oh my gosh, I'm so surprised. Which then, because again, everyone thinks, you look at that, okay, Persona 1 through 5, and then the last image is hidden up. Everyone's going to think it's Persona 6 related or something. That would be the most obvious thing. And no, it just ended up being that. So I made a video about it because when that leaked out, it was like everyone was like, "What are you doing?" What, like, everyone was mad. Japan was mad. The West was mad. Everyone was like, "Why would you hype this up for like?" Because like that picture of Igor is just a random Famitsu ad from like 2008. It's like it has no consequence to the anniversary at all. Is very weird. But yeah, so like there's stuff like the vinyls that got printed out. They actually just announced recently vinyls for the dancing games. Now again, because I like to be mean to myself, who here actually likes the dancing games besides me? Thank you, I appreciate that. What's this? Give me the explanation of this. What does this mean?
I mean, it just depends. I still have to test my knowledge with some more dancing games, and then I can fully decide which side I want to take on that.
Oh, okay, I understand that then. I appreciate the wobblies. Yeah.
I'd like to clarify, only Persona 4. Because
That's fair. Yeah, because Persona 4 is really the only one that's like a full game. The rest are mostly just half of a game.
And for me, it's dancing, Persona 4 and 3. 5, they could have just maybe waited until after Strikers and the anime and maybe Q2, and could go just kind of like what 4 did. They waited until like all the Persona 4 media, and they could put all the songs from those games in there.
No, exactly.
I mean, there's always DLC.
See, you would think most games would just be like, it's a rhythm game, just keep adding to it for years, but unfortunately the way Atlus makes most of their games is just, they finish it, and then they ship it, and then they sell it to you piecemeal later, and then they almost never go back to it. That's why it was actually really surprising when Soul Hackers came out last year. About like 3 or so months later, we ended up getting a patch with 4 new demons and a run button. So that was a big deal for us. We were celebrating being able to run. Who here is ever watched any of the Persona Super Live or concerts? So if you've never, there's a lot of them out on there on YouTube. I'm not even going to ask if you're a fan of the music because I can't imagine you would come here and think, man, this series is great, but the music sucks. They are all great. They're all really, really awesome. The one thing they mostly always had in common, though, is there were big announcements at almost all of them. And a good example would just be like, I guess I can make this an easy trivia question. Can anyone think of a game that was announced at any of the previous concerts ever? Yeah.
3 and 5's dancing games.
Oh, that's true. Do you remember the year? Just think like you're really close. What would have been a release close to?
Like 2019?
No, that would have been a year after. So it would have been 2017 or 2018. But it's close enough, so you get a prize. I would ask which one you want, but I think I know which one of these you would probably want. Yep. All right. But yeah, so they usually are always announcing games. Like Strikers got announced there, Persona 5 Royal got announced there. Actually, the first Persona 5 gameplay ever shown, like full gameplay, like a full reveal stuff, was at these concerts. So they have a history of like, hey, these big concerts are usually around anniversaries or on a yearly basis. And even if like again, they're just really cool concerts to go to celebrate the series. Like usually the composers are there, the original lyricists are all there. They're really, really great shows. They're really, really awesome to watch live and be performed. This year, they had announced ahead of time. Unfortunately, it was after they sold tickets, so it was a little skeezy. But before the concert, they announced no new games will be announced. You'll know everything. Like we know everything that's going to happen before it. But we did find one new thing out at the concert this year. At least we got the release date for Persona 3 Portable and Persona 4 Golden, which comes out January 19th. Just curious, who's here actually is going to be playing that either for the first time or revisiting it when it comes out on release? So if anyone is out there is curious and either has a PC or Xbox, it is going to be on Game Pass. So if for whatever reason you don't want to pay $20 to play like a 100-hour RPG, it is going to be nice that much like Persona 5, it's just going to be super, super easy. I think there's going to be way more people jumping into these. Does anyone have like a preference? Like, are they going to jump into 3 first or 4 first? Yeah.
3.
Just because, for you it's going to be your first time, right?
Yeah.
Now here's the hard question. Are you going to go FemC or play the male protagonist?
I'm thinking FMC.
That's the correct choice. FemC is the better version to play. Yeah.
Play P3P first because I have gone PS2 and never voted about, and I still feel ashamed about it.
So then I'll open this elephant in the room then. Are you someone who is worried about playing Portable for the first time and not the original, since it's obviously a different experience?
No,
So is anyone in here a P3P, not hater, but obviously there are people out there who prefer Festival or Vanilla more because it is not as much like a visual novel where Portable definitely scales down a lot. Yeah.
So, I'm not necessarily a hater like you were talking about.
Oh, yeah, I say hater very lightly. We're not going to burn it from the history books.
The thing is that Persona 3, Persona 4, you also have Golden, which is the definitive version, but
Yep.
Persona 3, there is no definitive version because there's benefits to each version. Like Persona 3 Fast has the best presentation, it has the full cutscenes, everything. But with Persona 3 Portable, you get the ability to change to control your party. You get the female protagonist. But Persona 3, I'm not sure your thoughts on it, but you get the epilogue. What is it called? The answer.
Well, that's the thing. I would not call the answer an epilogue. Who here has actually played the answer out of curiosity? So, like, how would you describe the epilogue? The epilogue more so feels to me kind of like an OVA more than, like, a true ending.
Yeah.
Like, did you like it?
It's been years.
It's really grindy.
Yeah.
It's a lot of going through the same kind of levels of, like, it's worth checking out.
You play on ages.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good.
Yeah. I mean, it's sort of similar... I don't know. There's actually not really a good, like, kind of comparison dungeon to it. Because, like, I would say something like... I would never recommend someone play P5 and not do the third semester at this point. It's like, that would be, like, blasphemy to me or whatever. But, like, I guess there are things like... I could see someone having a fun time playing Persona 4 Golden and not doing Marie's dungeon or something like that. Whereas, like, it's one of those things that sort of set up, like a challenge scaling quest. But it's a tough one just because, like... The way the answer is wrapped around its story it's telling, I think, tries to make a bigger deal than it really is. While it is, thankfully, self-encapsulating, it's also not one of those things that's like... I think if it was a bigger deal, they probably would have made a movie out of it. Like, they were already making 4 Persona 3 movies at that point. Like, why not just crank one more out or whatever? But it's at least, like I said, definitely worth experiencing. But it's never something that, at least for me, that I've looked at and went, oh, Portable's lesser because it doesn't have it. Because really... Yes, it was cut out for space and limitation and budget reasons, but also you're still getting the entire story of Persona 3, plus more options, more places, more routes, more character links, and things like that. So, kind of going back to what we talked about a little bit earlier with Persona 3 and 4 getting re-released, this has now been confirmed to be, unfortunately, a digital-only release, which I don't know how many people out there are like physical collectors. Who here enjoys buying physical games more than digital? So, how did you feel that this is just going to be stuck in, at least for now, as a digital-only kind of a release? Because it's like, it's one of those surprising things of, I had heard for quite a while, because these releases have been getting worked on forever and ever and ever. Because, like, really, it's only one new release. It's one new release of P3P, and then we're getting a port of a 2020 PC port. So it's not really, like, a huge release. So it was one of those things of, like, this seemed like the easiest, bundle it together, make it $40 or $50, give us a tchotchke or a keychain or something, and put it out on all the reasons, on all the, like, similar platforms. We don't really know a reason why. It is a bummer. It's obviously also, they could always release it later. It doesn't have to be at launch. It would make sense, but it's going to sell fine. It's going to do great either way, but I think it's just kind of a bummer. One of those things of Atlas is kind of leaning away from its collectors a little bit more, especially when they have so many avenues to sell it to us, whether it be through stores or their own online shop. Has anyone here actually ever bought anything from the Shop Atlas store, out of curiosity? What have you picked up?
Pad and a mug.
Was it the SMT mug?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. So how did you appreciate the Shop Atlas experience? How did it treat you? Besides,
I don't remember.
that's okay. Your wallet is
I think I
recovered
just
from the
shipped-
shipping.
just shipped and it showed up.
So, a lot of the fan base is kind of iffy about it, mostly because if you are someone outside of the West, it has really bad international shipping rates, and even if you are in the West, they're pretty high. Like, there are no free shipping options 99.9% of the time, which obviously paying for shipping is usually going to be kind of a thing, but there are situations of items already being very expensive, like when you're paying for like a $500 vinyl player or something, and then having to pay $50 for shipping. It's kind of like, oh, well, that's a little bit of a bummer or whatever.
And which is funny because when you mentioned about the, I think was it that special edition for Royal, they're now giving everyone free shipping for that.
Oh yeah, actually, who knew that Persona 5 Royal actually got a third collector's edition last year? That was Shop Atlas exclusive. That would explain why they still currently have like 13,000 still left in stock. They have not sold out. Yeah.
So since you haven't touched upon it yet, the digital versions, but also the PlayStation version is native to PS4, while the Xbox version is native to Series X.
Yeah, so the breakdown for that, for anyone who really cares with it, the Xbox version having a next-gen version with Series S and X, there's no advantages. They're all still going to play the same. It's basically more of just, because with Xbox, you just need to really, hey, here's the SKU, it's a lot easier, whereas with PlayStation, you have to make two very separate versions for it. And with PlayStation, there was no reason. It's not going to run any differently, and if anything, it was just going to make it more expensive for them. So thankfully, since I've seen the different versions kind of compared with each other, there's no difference compared to playing it on PS4 or PS5, let alone Xbox One or Xbox Series X or whatnot. Is your hand up or are you stretching?
My hand was up.
Oh, yeah, what's up?
One thing that is kind of a bummer is, like, for Persona 3, I do have a chance to get both experiences because I have a copy of Persona Festival that my boyfriend got me.
Okay.
But it was a bummer because I haven't been able to play it yet because the PlayStation that I got to my friend gypped me.
Oh. What?
So I can't even play the game until I'm buying another PlayStation.
That stinks. Although, hey, bonus points for you for actually knowing that Fez stood for festival, though. Which, by the way, kind of talking about all the different ports getting physical versions, I gotta say, even after all these months since the release, I am still incredibly shocked that we got a physical version on Xbox. It's still one of the weirdest things seeing, like, it looks like one of those fake covers you see of just like, oh yeah, like here's what these like what if copies would look like for Persona 5 Royal. Just out of curiosity, for anyone out there who did pick up P5R last year, did you guys get the Steelbook edition or like the regular version?
The white GameStop ordered it. They put it like in two separate ones, so I didn't know which one was which. So I ordered it, and I got the standard version. For
PS5?
For the Switch.
Oh, for Switch. Okay, I was gonna say I don't even think I've seen a standard version on PS5 yet. PS5 seems to have been overprinted way more. But kind of transitioning away from the Persona 25th anniversary thing because, hey, we kind of had like the last like 14 months of that or whatever with it. Actually, before then, I at least want to open it up. Did anyone else have any like final things they wanted to say or have any thoughts, angry emails you'd like to express to the room about the P25 anniversary, good or bad? Yeah.
No, just one thing about if they do make a physical for 3 and 4 and maybe Ultimax, how would you feel if they decided to team up with like limited runs to do that?
Oh, yeah, they would. I mean, from everything I've always talked to them, like they would never do that, and not in a like they have anything against limited run. It's just Sega is cheap, but Sega will never let anyone else make their own money for them when they can do it themselves. So they would rather never make a version than like share the profits with another company like that. So that's kind of a bummer in that sense with it. But I feel like at this point, I feel like more fans would be mad if P3 and P4 were through limited run than like through a normal retail release or something. Yeah.
It's not about the 25th anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
Like, one thing that I would like to see, if I'm not mistaken, for Persona 2, the protagonist was a girl, right?
Yeah, for Eternal Punishment, it was Maya.
Yeah, for what I would like to see, I know with Persona 3, they portable they had a choice, but since the past 2 games, I'd like to see another female protagonist.
Oh yeah, like with Persona 6 and stuff?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, at this point, I've always been on the camp, and the same thing goes with Shin Megami Tensei, because I'd say the exact same thing as well. It's like, who you are really doesn't matter. Thank you so much for coming, guys. Like, who you are really doesn't matter, and in that sense of, like, that's kind of why I really loved SMT5, of just, like, with Shin Megami Tensei 5, it was, like, it would have been nice if there was, like, alternative, like, models and stuff that you could have picked from for character customization, but, like, the fact that like your main protagonist, which by the way, actually a funny thing, I don't know if I've like said this like publicly yet, but I did find out recently, this did like just get confirmed through Atlas, that not the protagonist yourself, but when the protagonist is in their Nahabino form, like not the derpy plushy version form, but the actual Nahabino form, they actually go by they them. They have no pronouns. Atlas themselves strictly said that, which I was very surprised about because this is Atlas Japan. They do not have the most they do not have the most open standards with their history and everything with it. So I thought that was really cool. But I think like with future games, whether it be Persona or Shin Megami Tensei, it's like I can't think of any reason why anyone would be mad at just letting you pick a male version, a female version, or a non-binary version, and then just let you go from there. Because at the very least, you'll get more design options, which gives people more options to play with and add things like that. And also, it just makes everyone a lot more happy. Like, the fact that, like, our first non-binary protagonist character is, like, the coolest looking character in the series, I think is a really good point. Oh, man, it'd be so dumb if they were ugly. If our first non-binary character just, like, looked like an absolute clown, it'd be so sad. It'd be like, no. Go back to the black hair and glasses, please. Yeah.
So basically, what I'm trying to say is, speaking of Persona 5, same thing, switch to that. I was playing on my phone because remember that if you have Game Pass, whether you have an Xbox or not, you can cloud stream any L Game Pass games.
Oh yeah, you can stream it directly on your phone as well as like TV and PC and Xbox as well with it, which is nice.
Well with internet, so it's a good option if you're on the go.
I like it, but it is that thing of like you mentioned, it's like but like my thing is like, while I know a lot of people with Game Pass, whether it be PC or Xbox, I've never met anyone who has Game Pass and doesn't own either one of them. So it's like it's a good option, but I don't think there's a lot of edge cases yet of people who are like, oh, I'm all in on streaming and I don't have a console to play it on yet. But it is a good option for like people who do want to play like on the go, especially like if you are someone like me, because like I'm always in a weird camp of like I love portable gaming and stuff, but especially in a post-Vita world, like I love playing stuff on the Switch if it's like a first-party exclusive, but most 9 out of 10 times I just want to play it on the big screen at home. Yeah. So it is nice to have that flexibility with Xbox and PC where you can just stream it on your phone. And again, like we talked about with frame rates, like you can have a delay, you can have like the image look ugly. Like streaming those games are very, very fine. Like I played most of Soul Hackers 2, and actually literally I played I think the entirety of Persona 5 Royal through my Vita with remote play. Like I barely played any of that on the TV.
Oh, so don't tell anyone, but SMT5 now looks good at emulation.
Oh yeah. Emulating Switch games will always be very, very profitable. So all right, we're going to turn into Shin Megami Tensei time, but check curiosity here. Who here has played a proper Shin Megami Tensei game? And it could be Devil Survivor, any of those ones like that. What was your first SMT game?
I played Nocturne.
Oh, okay. So was it the HD version or on PS2?
The PS2 version emulated.
Oh, hey, it's okay. You're not missing out on much. That was I mean, like my whole thing with like Nocturne, especially did you like the HD version or have you checked it out yet?
I think it looked really good, but there's not like any big upgrade.
Yeah,
there's like a fusion quality upgrade.
The only thing that made me happy about it was we get Raito. That was about basically it. Like we finally could play with like Raito and stuff. But then like also not a lot of people know who Raito is, so people are like, "Where's Dante?" Sorry, yeah. Yes. What was yours?
Tensei?
Yes.
Okay, I played Megami Tensei 1 and 2.
So, are you talking like the Famicom versions or like PCX?
The remade one versus Super.
Oh, yes, the SNES version. Yeah, the Super Famicom one is a really good remake of both of those ones with it. And also, kind of going back to emulation, a lot of those earlier games, like the chance of any of us pretty much getting a lot of those earlier SMT games are super far from none. But an easy way to play the first two and if on SNES is if you have Nintendo Switch Online, even if it's an American account, you can just make a Japanese account and log in and download that free software because they actually have the ROMs for SMT1, 2, and if from Super Nintendo. They're all completely in Japanese, of course, but if you want to actually play them and it's portable, legal, everything like that, that's a really good way to kind of check out those earlier games because right now we still unfortunately have no legal way to play 1, 2, or so many of those other ones like Majin and everything else like that. Yeah.
So talking about the emulation on the Go Switch Online.
Yep.
So the Japanese version has.
Yeah, so if you go and make a Japanese account on a Switch, you can download the software for free, and then you launch the Nintendo Switch app with the app of yours that has with whatever account has the stuff with it. So so basically think of it like you're downloading the software with the Japanese account, and then your North American one that has paid online, that's the app you use it with, and then you'll be able to play with it for free. Well, assuming you pay for Switch Online.
Well, we did sort of get like an official translation of the first Shin Megami Tensei game, but they decided to put that on mobile and also became lost media, I guess.
Yeah, well, it's a weird one of like it's lost media. Like technically, it was only because of the App Store changes and everything with it. Just out of curiosity, did anyone here ever play that SMT1 port on iOS? It was a really, really interesting version because it was SMT1, the GBA version, brought to phones, but only iOS because at that point, even Atlas themselves basically said everyone just steals everything on Android anyway, so we can't bring it there. It was a fine port, but it was one of those weird ones of like paying $10 for a GBA game on your phone was kind of a bummer at that point. But the fact that it never got updated was literally only due to the fact that like I think 30 people, and myself included, ended up buying it. There were plans for SMT2 and IF as well, but again, it was a phone-only port with it. The hope is that those translations that we're getting worked on will finally get ported to other stuff immediately, but right now, even though now we're in the 30th anniversary of Shin Megami Tensei's anniversary with everything, thankfully they're at least learning their lesson from Persona. They're not overhyping things. They're not saying we're going to have 13 announcements and 6 birthdays and 19 candles every day. They're being a lot more low-key, but I think most people are taking the lack of a pre-announcement this time as, they're not doing anything, which is definitely not true. I myself have at least been aware of a couple of different things they have planned going on. They're just being a lot more close-chested this time because, as a lot of you guys saw online, they took a lot of beatings from people who were not happy with how Persona handled, and they want to handle it differently with Shin Megami Tensei, and they'd rather be quiet and think you're not doing anything and then surprise them at the 11th hour. But I kind of wanted to open it up to you guys of like, what are some Shin Megami Tensei related announcements you'd like to see for the 30th anniversary? Yeah.
Hopefully get SMT5 on like other consoles.
Yeah.
Especially with better frame rate.
Any of the older ones, or like any like possible like new games like any of you guys would want to like see or like announce? Like, are there any like games out there you're like, man, I still can't believe I haven't played like Digital Devil Saga or any of those other like PS2 ones? So like the big ones for me, and unfortunately that's like kind of the bummer with Nocturne HD, is like Nocturne HD is kind of a weird double-edged sword of an example of it was a test case of, hey, are people interested in playing these games on modern systems still? And the answer was yes, but probably not worldwide. So Nocturne HD sold very well in Japan, did not sell very well in the West at all, is pretty much clearanced at most stores you see over here. $50, I think you can all agree, was pretty steep for a PS2 game in 2020. Especially, seriously, when like less than 6 months later, for $60, you could get SMT5, which was a much grander and much bigger game for everything. But I think if they retooled and kind of had a bit of a smaller budget in mind and compiled more games, they could have a lot more universal appeal. Because I think most of us would be interested in, let's say, like a $40 like combined pack of like Raida 1 and 2 in HD, or Digital Devil Saga in HD, or even just something like, even if they wanted to re-release digitally a couple of those early Super Nintendo games and like those other classic games, because so many of them are pretty small but have a lot of interesting gameplay out there. Like, most people out there probably don't even know what kind of a game like Majin Tensei even plays like. Like, Majin Tensei should be pretty easy to market. It plays like most strategy games, and most strategy games like that are at least marketed well. Like, looking at something like Advance Wars or Fire Emblem and things like that, like there's a lot of like synergy they could really market in with those potential there. And also, if you're like a cynist like me, you could be like, can we just get like Jack Bros 2 as a joke or something? Because Who doesn't like Jack Bros? Actually, here's a good trivia question. Who can tell me which Jack Bros has been removed from the trilogy? Because there used to be 3 Jack Bros, and one has been removed. Yes?
I'm not sure if I was a guess, but the first one?
No, well, you have to say the name for it. So it's clearly not Jack Frost. There were 2 other brothers of the Jack variety, and one of them has been canceled / removed from the trilogy.
I know it was the pumpkin head. I can't think of the name of it.
It's close enough. It's okay. At least you didn't say Pumpkin Jack. So here, I will give you this. This is your prize. It was Jack the Ripper. Which you would ask, why would they kick out him? And they're like, well, he's kind of based off like a serial killer and rapist, so he's probably not the best person to be marketable. So now the Jack Bros are only Jack Frost and Pyro Jack. Thank you. Yeah, my brain literally wanted to say Fire Jack.
Jack Ripper had to go to his planet.
I know in the games it has a different name. That's all I wasn't sure.
Oh yeah, that is true. Because they always like change it around with it.
The pumpkin.
The funniest thing about it, the funniest thing about it with everything was actually we found out that they pretty much stopped using him on purpose because in all art showing them off now, he wasn't in Shin Megami Tensei Synchronicity, which was basically like a free little Metroidvania they made in anticipation for Strange Journey, and everyone was like, "Oh, that's weird. Why wasn't he in there?" And then with like something like the stuff we've seen with like SMT5 and Soul Hackers 2, they basically just replaced him. They've replaced Jack the Ripper with Mokoi, which just seems weird. It's kind of like, well, he's cute, but he has nothing to do with like either of the Jack Bros and stuff. So you mentioned Shin Megami Tensei 5 being on other systems. Just out of curiosity, who here has played SMT5? Who here would like to play it on something that's not just the Nintendo Switch? So, Shin Megami Tensei 5, good news, is coming to other consoles. The question that usually just keeps popping up is, when is it coming? So, the way, if most people don't really know, Shin Megami Tensei 5 was basically created with 2 different brands of exclusivity. It was paid for by Nintendo to be a Switch exclusive, and it was also paid for by Epic, who is the Fortnite company, to be an Unreal Engine 4 game. So nothing about it being Unreal Engine 4 is going to stop it from being on other systems, but it was the kind of Nintendo Switch exclusive that Nintendo wants exclusive for at least a year or so, and now it's kind of just up to Atlas of where it goes first. The only thing I've ever really heard from behind the scenes is it's coming to PC relatively soon. It just depends whenever Atlas wants to release it there.
Oh, yeah, was it part of the NVIDIA leak?
No, that was not in the NVIDIA leak. But I mean, honestly, it's one of those things of, at this point, I think they're just trying to play the waiting game of if they're going to make it an Epic Game Store exclusive and see if they're going to make people mad by doing that or not. But like with SMT5, what are systems you guys would want to play that on? Like for me, I would want to mostly just play it on PlayStation for the trophies because I'm really basic. But like, what about you guys? What would you want to play it on? If you don't say anything, I'm gonna just say engage. Yeah.
Nintendo.
It's gonna be for sure that they're gonna be doing a PS5, but they're gonna do it well for Sony release, but I also kind of wanted to do a PS4 release.
Oh no, yeah. So I basically put the PS4. Like there will be a PS4 and a PS5 version. It would not just be on PS5. Like much like with the Persona 4 thing, it's just like PS4 is still the majority over there. There are so many more like PS4s out in the wild that there's no reason SMT5 wouldn't be on there. I just put the new gen consoles on there because it looks more marketable. But yeah, it'll be on everything. The only thing I could imagine it skipping is Xbox One, but that's just mostly unless like Phil Spencer doesn't want to pay for it or whatever to be on Game Pass. But for anyone out there who did play it, out of curiosity, if there were to add new content, what is stuff you guys would like to see added? Could be small, like costumes or story, or like, was there anything you guys felt was lacking in SMT5 that you would like to see in a re-released version?
I know a lot of people are kind of dissatisfied with how the story is.
Mm-hmm.
I would like some Atlas to dive deeper in some of the characters because some of them have potential, but I think it's not there yet.
I've always had this like weird idea, and I'd be curious what you guys think. Like my idea, not really how to fix the story, but like how to do a cheap, good like addition to the story without making it feel like, oh, we're trying to fix the ending, is making a playable kind of like what if scenario, whereas instead of playing as Nahabino, you're playing through the entirety of Shin Megami Tensei 5 through Dazai's perspective. So you get to dot at the exact same time as the protagonist with Ichiro Dazai, the like kid with the yellow hat, really goofy, joins up with all the angels and stuff. He goes through from learning about angels and demons to the war the same way you do, just through a totally different perspective. And I think it would be a good excuse to kind of show more of the story of a talkative protagonist. You get to see more with the angels from their perspective, learning about the betrayals, everything like that. And then also can possibly throw in like new demons or boss fights like that. Just because I think trying to add more story would either be like you're going to add a new dungeon, but it doesn't really fix anything with the overall major plot. Whereas if you play from another character's perspective, at the very least, we could try to have maybe a more cohesive ending because it's just one character and one perspective. Because as much as I love these games, like Persona and SMT, it's very rare that your choices made for all 80 plus hours actually matter. It's pretty much what color do you want at the end of the game. It's like, do you want to be law, neutral, or chaos and stuff?
But bigger question, if they do bring it SMT5 on PS4 and PS5, would they charge $70 for it?
I think so. Well, I think 70 for next gen version. Well, it says it's a port too. It's a tough one. No, I think 60. If they were going to do 70, they would have done it for Persona 5. And they didn't do it with that one, so I think 60 is probably safe at least.
Because I remember when when the 6 got come to Switch.
Well, Disgaea 6 was also 70 on PS4, but that was because it was all the DLC, and
even
so
the whole DLC.
Yeah, so it was kind of just like that was like basically you're playing for the giant Game of the Year edition. Plus, you got some physical goodies and stuff. Yeah.
More Mimon.
Oh my god, here's a weird one. We were talking about merchandise earlier. Can you guys believe that there's not a single Mimon plush? They're the most marketable thing in that entire game. There are these cute little red guys with little jar heads bouncing around, and you can't, like, there's no... it upsets me. They're so fantastic. The Mimon are absolutely great. Like, knowing my luck, they're going to make, like, a Gustav plush before they get a Mimon plush. Which, by the way, anyone out there who is not aware, do you get anything worth anything for collecting all the Mimon? No, but it is just fun running around all of SMT having picked up. And at least it wasn't so many that you feel like you've wasted your life, like the Korok seeds in Breath of the Wild. Thank absolute God. But yeah, that's pretty much most of the panel and everything I had planned here. I don't know how I've rambled for almost 47 minutes here. But I wanted to say thank you guys so much for coming out. I know it's the end of the convention. Everyone's either tired or wanted somewhere to sleep, but I appreciate you all for coming out here. I'm excited about the future for all these different Atlas games, Persona, SMT, all that kind of stuff like that. I just enjoy meeting new faces, talking about this series, showing this little like goofy goober's face off to everybody. But it's always so nice getting to meet you guys. I appreciate you so much for coming out, listening to me and all my very look at the presentation I have with my Taiyou Con logo not even being there all the way. That's how you know I really put a lot of effort into this. So thank you all so much for showing up. I don't know what you're going to be doing after this, since the panel and the convention are basically dying at the exact same time, but thank you so much for showing up. I appreciate you all, and have a good rest of your whatever this is now that it's not an anime convention, but thank you so much. Oh, and if you're one of those weirdos out there who like to follow people on social media, that's my QR code to find all my stuff. But yeah, I do this all the time because I love this.
I like how it says come bug me as well.
It has all of those other elements to it, and people gravitate to it naturally. And they're like, that's the real core of it.
Which is, I mean, again, when you're starting a show with a guy who's like lost an eye and a nut, you're starting the bar very low.
Exactly.
But yeah, man, I gotta say, because it's been a year, but people probably forgot. Hey, what's that handsome Ryan guy been up to?
Oh, stop.
Right. So Ryan, here's my thing. I've gotta tell you right now before we get started. Why has no one discovered your deep dark secret about Shin Megami Tensei 5?
Well, which is what?
No one has We talked about this after our interview. We said, hey, because we're off the record, the game wasn't out yet, but I'd been playing it. We were like, hey, I wonder until someone's going to recognize who else I voice act in this game.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like looking on Twitter, I was like, I don't think anyone's ever been like, hey, is this you?
That's so funny because I totally forgot.
Well, like at this point almost been 2 years for you.
Oh my God, that's so funny. It was the Angel.
I was trying to remember. Is it Michael?
No, it was the other one with the A.
But yes, you have your own separate. It's funny. You get like literally 2 of the longest subquests of the entire game.
Oh, that's so funny because I don't think I played the other subquest. That's genius.
But yeah, it was so funny of like looking through with that. I mean, obviously, if people knew, it'd be like, oh, is that Ryan's grunts? Because there's no extended dialogue sequence. But it is that funny one of like, I always think about that sometimes. It's like I love who's the additional voices and stuff. Like literally, because we were talking about this yesterday with like Final Fantasy VII. I cannot go through that game without being like, oh, that's just my friends.
Yeah.
I can hear. I don't hear their characters. I just hear you. I hear Connor. I hear everybody.
Trippy.
It's just all because they were just like, it was like, hey, should we get one person to do 5 roles? No, let's just get 15 people.
Yeah.
There's so many additional ones in that one.
And we're still all doing like 5 roles. That's crazy.
It's true. Just wait till Rebirth. They're gonna crank you out there. But yeah, so like obviously, since SMT5 has been out, I'm sorry, Kansu has not been your biggest role. You've peaked. Originally, which is so funny, but I don't know if like you had thought about this, but like, because I know you signed up for this forever ago, or like with your like booking company and stuff.
Wait, signed up for what?
Taiyou Con, sorry, the convention we're at. It was so funny. I was like thinking about this. Was like, I remember them teasing you with Prince of Tennis. Look at how long the world has changed.
That's so wild. Yeah.
Which, hey, no shout out to Prince of Tennis. I loved you in Prince of Tennis.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting because, like, that has been the wild part is who's reached out beforehand and then who's reached out since and how many people
Oh,
have, like...
do you have the tiered friends of, like, who liked me before this role?
No,
who liked
I
me?
don't mean like that. But I just mean it is interesting to see how much more of an impact this is having on, obviously it is current and very relevant, but it's just interesting to see that it is very much just a response that people are having to the story more than anything that I think is so interesting.
I want to be very candid with you. I was literally standing behind Taiyou Con staff members, was talking to each other, 2 of the staff people, and they were literally like, oh, dude, we scored Ryan right before Chainsaw Man, thank God. And I was just thinking to myself, like, yeah, man, those booking rates, I bet they're scoring right. And it was just so funny because it was like, from their perspective, I totally get that. Because it's almost like there's like, that was level 1 Ryan, and now we're at level 2 Ryan. It's like, dude, where's level 3 Ryan going to be at? Their ears were burning. We were talking behind the scenes, they were getting shaky with it. But yeah, it was like, because, like, I don't know, like, do you ever, like, it's kind of hard, I guess, to be, like, how introspective are you going to get for yourself of, like, look at what 12 months have done for you now. It's like, what's 2024 you looking at?
Dude, I mean, one, just continuing to get to do this at all. Like, it's just so very much the goal. I mean, working on this comic book with a friend of mine.
Oh, by the way, so I'm so glad you tweeted about that because I started following your friend as well as working on it. So please
brilliant.
Pimp the name for it because you guys are slowly working on it.
It currently has a working title, so I'll hold on it because we're still not sure what we're exactly going to call it. But yeah, my writing partner Carmen Aspenise is amazing, and we are very much hoping within the next year to like actually bring it out into the world. So
that's awesome. But I mean, like, especially like I'm such a sucker for like any medium of storytelling, but I have such a soft spot for like comics and stuff. Especially like just like that medium is so fun.
There's so much that you can do with it, and on a much more feasible budget. So
oh god,
it's like getting to make a movie of your dreams, but at a scale that almost anyone can figure out.
Yeah, because it's like, honestly, like if we were being realistic, you and me right now, we came up with the best Chainsaw Man fan film of all time. We realistically probably would never get to make it, but if you and me came up with like a one-shot, we could probably know who to pitch it to get it in some weird thing that could come out and people could experience it.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, we probably couldn't necessarily take a licensed IP already, but
that's when we have to go find the mangaka. We'll go to Japan, we'll find him, and we'll be like, listen, we've got to harass you for a very specific reason.
I'm way more singular brained. I'm way more interested in doing my own stuff.
Oh no, and obviously, yeah, that's the thing as well. When you're then working with like your own ideas and your own properties. Which, by the way, is it been nice? Like, was this like a joint idea you had with your partner and stuff with the comic book?
No, this was an idea that I had myself 5 years ago that I was writing by myself, and then I shelved it because I didn't feel like I was able to give my full attention to it. I was in the band still. This was even before I was doing this. And I just felt like I was kind of putting the cart before the horse, so I knew I still wanted to do it. And then a couple of years ago, I became friends with Carmen, and he was already a writer, and I loved his writing, and we just had a really quick and easy friendship, and it just became a really like obvious no-brainer to ask if he wanted to collaborate on it. And he was like, hell yeah. So
like
we've been doing it for 2 years
I
now.
always forget to ask you about this because you were doing music for so long. Did you guys ever get to do any CDs or whatever, or was it just put out digitally?
We
and stuff?
pressed a vinyl. We did all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
Okay, so because I remember when you were talking about it a bit in your panel last night, one of the things of like this and like when you're doing like the one band runs everything kind of thing, like if you went through the effort of already doing the vinyl, you already know what an insane, massive, expensive headache that is.
Oh yeah, we were constantly hemorrhaging money. I mean, it was.
But it's cool, like, when you have that as, like, it's even more of a forever legacy thing than just being like, oh, I looked it up on Spotify and there you were.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
such a cool thing to have.
And I just think that, like anything, we knew we had to invest in ourselves regardless of what the outcome was going to be. You can't predict the outcome. You can only hope for the best and put your everything into it, you know?
And I mean, I like the attitude, at least you usually project about it. Like, you don't look at your time making music as like, oh, I failed and then I went into this.
No.
That is just a chapter of your life that's still there. It still exists.
Yeah, I mean,
there's nothing even stopping you from going back to it. God knows what happens.
Yeah, exactly. And if anything, I think it is a huge reason as to why I'm here. You know, it gave me so many skill sets and abilities of understanding myself and working with different kinds of people and collaborating in that exact kind of space of a recording studio years before I ever knew I would need that training. So it's done a ton for me.
Have you had any fans then be like, oh, hey, I loved your work, so I went and looked up all your music and stuff?
Some people have looked up the music, yeah, and some really dig it. It's actually kind of crazy. Someone brought me a painting of like an old live music video, and it's like me singing and playing guitar. And it's like
really?
a watercolor of me. It's so surreal.
That's awesome.
People are incredibly talented and kind. It's crazy. I'm getting attacked by eyelashes. I'm sorry.
But yeah, so like, I don't know, would you say like, is this kind of like your first like calendar year-ish of like really doing a lot of conventions? Because I know you were like, had you done any in 2020, or was like 2021 the first big year for you?
I mean, really, it started in 2022, I think.
Oh my god, I forgot we're in 2023.
Yeah, dude, it's very strange. Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure all of my conventions were in the last year, and we did roughly, I think, around like 10 or something like that, which for me was even like, whoa, that's cool.
Let's be real, was anything like more of a whirlwind than New York Comic Con though?
Both times, no. New York Comic Con is one of the most surreal experiences.
Just like, even just seeing the pictures, man, like, I mean, I wanted to be there just to see the episode early, but I could feel the energy in that room just from the pictures. It looked insane.
It's wild, and it's like, you know, especially because we were just there, like, on a promotional whirlwind, so it wasn't like we had tables or anything. It was just full-blown, like, experience the energy of the excitement.
Yeah.
And it was so cool. And Comic-Con's just so massive, so it's such a treat. But yeah, this year we're roughly doing like 30. So it is.
Are you in that nervous or excited level? Where are you at more?
I'm incredibly excited to be traveling and like getting to be places I haven't been to in a long time and places that I've never been before.
Yeah, have you ever been to Arizona before?
Yes, back in my band when we toured in 2009. So it was a very long time ago.
It's a different Arizona. Let me
Yeah,
tell
a
you.
lot of it is coming back for the first time since more or less then. But I am trepidatious, like, for, you know, I want to be good about balancing my energy. There's going to be a run of like 13 in a row at one point.
Oh, wow.
So, like, I definitely am going to learn how to pace myself, and I will probably be the boring guy at the end of a lot of the nights where I'll just, like, go to my hotel room and shut down.
You're just sitting there with the coffee, just looking into it, like the dark abyss.
Just,
but,
you know, yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be really cool.
Well, hey, I'm at least glad, because, like, one of the, literally, like, I wanted to go see my family and come out here and visit and stuff, but I was super excited to finally get a chance to come and see you and not have to go to California.
Yeah.
But, yeah, because even, like, I forget, and if you don't remember the top of it, because you were going to Kansas, actually, later this year.
Yeah.
I forget whichever show it is for it, but it's one of those things.
Yeah.
That is okay. But yeah, it's like sometime this summer or whatever for it. But yeah, that'll be nice at least because obviously Kansas going to give a bit more of a different experience than like the desert or California. Or
oh, yeah.
Like
I mean, I got to just do a convention for New Year's in Oklahoma. So, you know, I love getting to be in totally different environments than what I'm used to. It's so fun. And the best part is, you know, there are anime fans and video game fans and just nerd fans in all of these places.
And it's the thing of like they're everywhere, but it's so different. Everybody you're going to meet is so different. There's never like one
100%.
exact type of person or whatever.
All the more reason to go to all these places. You know, I never want to be the guy who's like, I only go to the major cities. You know, I wanna soak up everyone's enthusiasm.
No, yeah, for sure. And I mean, like, is it like? Because I was actually talking to Amanda about this earlier. Of like, I don't think I could literally ever become famous and try to effectively like be at a convention and like profit from it. Like there's that thing of like I literally was like I don't know if someone was like, hey dude, make a video message for me or like do like a picture, and I'd be like, oh cool, give me this for it, because it's that thing of like it's just such a foreign concept in my brain.
It's still foreign to me too. The whole thing is foreign. It's none of this makes sense to me.
Like, it was funny, like, I literally had a thing recently, it was like, I'd given someone away something for a giveaway, and he's like, hey, could you sign it? And I was like, I'm degrading the value for this. Why
That's
would you
how
ever
I feel.
want...
That's seriously like.
But then also
my first few conventions, I kept apologizing while I was signing stuff because I'm like, I'm ruining your art. You know.
It is one of those funny ones. Like, but I didn't create this because like I was thinking about that like with games and stuff. It's like I even like thought about like, oh yeah, what's like something I could like bring you or whatever to sign. And like I'm so weird with autographs. It always goes to my brain of like. It's like I think of like it's a teams thing. It's like it's the collective. It's like I want to get like everybody. I want to get like the whole thing for it with it on there. But then I always overanalyze it as well. Where it is that thing of like people are happy, but like there's the character, sign it on their character, and I'm happy.
Well, that's ultimately my only real goal coming to these things. Is so much of it still doesn't make sense to me, but what does make sense is I want to make people happy, and that is the only thing that I'm really focusing on.
How do you say like you enjoy the kind of like split between doing autographs and getting people to come to you, or like doing panels? Because is panels kind of a newer thing for you?
This all happened all at once. I mean, I like doing. It's weird. I still am kind of shocked, like if I have a panel and people are sitting there waiting to hear me talk
every time, literally,
you know?
me is like I was just telling Brian, every panel I've ever gone to. 3 minutes before, total ghost town, and then it just all fills in. But it's that thing of like, will one person come to this?
Well, I just like I'm still kind of like again, I don't feel special in any regard, so I'm kind of like thrown when they're like, you're gonna do this panel and stuff, and I'm like, why? Who wants to hear me talk about stuff? You know, like it's more that I just kind of I feel like I'm in a funny position.
I gotta at least let you know, in the most unbiased way I gotta possibly, like, out of everybody I've talked to, like seriously, dude, you're like the one person I keep hearing everybody at the convention say like you are so nice.
Oh man.
Everybody was like, oh, it's so nice to be, because like obviously you haven't really made the rounds as much, because Brian and like Peter were in here were like stuff last year, and it's always so nice of like making the trick out there, getting to meet people, because like literally like if I met you and there was no bar that I needed you to be at, but you just kicked it out of the sand. As soon as I met you, dude, like you were so bright, you were so friendly. It was so like there was no disconnect between talking to you online or even through Skype or in person. It was just instantly there. Like it really means a lot, and it's so nice that it shows to all the fans and stuff who love your work.
I'm so glad. It means a lot. Like they're all so freaking cool. Like.
And this is pre-Funko Pop you. What's going to happen when they're the Funko Pop? Like, I'm not ready for the merchandise you're going to have. Like, we've been slow dripping you right now with some roadie stuff, but it's like, listen, we're going to give you TCG soon. We're going to be giving you books.
I've already bought so many freaking little figures for myself. It's trippy to have toys at all. You know, it's so cool.
Is it what's more weird, when you're buying them, or like when if your mom, does your mom ever just be like, look, I saw this and I thought of you?
You know, I think because she's not necessarily like shopping in stores that have.
We're gonna get your mom's gonna walk into a Hot Topic one day, find a picture of you.
Maybe it'll be weird, but you know, it's fun. The Hot Topic thing is the funniest, because like that is something that like friends are tagging me.
They were so fast about it.
Yeah.
I was like. Usually, I guess, like, I'm so used to, like, remember when we were kids, dude, like, we'd see Jurassic Park, and then 3 years later, we'd get it on VHS.
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly.
no, dude, you get, like, the week of the movie out. Here's
now
your T-shirt.
Everything is, like, on top of it. It's so impressive. But it's cool. It's crazy to be, like, a part of something that is that wide-reaching so quickly.
Yeah, because, I mean, like, obviously, like, you can be, like, the super, like, shallow person, like, well, like, I'm attaching yourself. It's not like, oh, I'm the marketable brand now, but it is that thing of like, especially because again, it's a series you love, it's a series that means a lot to you, and then millions of other people out there.
I'm more like, honestly, I feel like I just get to be the biggest cheerleader because I am such a big fan. So it's like, really easy for me to be excited about it.
Yeah, because I mean, like it comes through so much, especially with like Chainsaw Man and so many of the other works you've done. But especially with like Chainsaw Man, like you're mentioning, like one of my favorite things I forgot to mention like to you before, but like one of the things that actually made me connect more in the manga than even with the show, and with the show it'd be hard to kind of get this. Picking up every manga volume, my favorite part of every volume, hands down, is just whatever film he's going to say he loves.
Yeah.
That little thing of like, oh, I love this, or I love
Yeah.
it. And everyone has been like, oh my God, I love that movie. Or, oh, and even if you don't, you look it up and you have a new movie to, and it's another thing for it like that. And it's just such a, because other manga artists will, here's what's going on with my life. I'm having a kid. I'm stressing about this, but it's just so funny. But something so like, for us, like movie fans, that's all it is. It's like, oh my God, I love this movie.
Well, and it says a lot about a person,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So I think he knows that it's like say less, show more.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, man, just because we're doing our stupid episode 300, super loose, no planning, anything. How many people can I shove the microphone in front of?
That's how my whole career goes.
Yeah, just shoving things in front of people's faces. But yeah, so we're at Taiyou Con. How have you? Oh, so who are you? People may have forgotten who the green guy was.
I've forgotten who I was in this day and age. This is Sean Chiplock, also known as Sonic Mega, also known as Dat Boy, specifically on Tuesdays. You can follow me online at Twitter at Sonic Mega. It's like Sonic and Mega Man because that's what it's based on. I was 12 years old and I thought I was the most unique kid in the world. I do voice acting. I like to think I do it well. That's up to you to decide. But I've been doing it for about 16 years now.
So we can't top bill you as that guy who did like play testing at NISA anymore. We have to like now give you the professional credits.
I mean, you can always bring me down a peg or five by bringing up
hey,
that.
Listen,
they used to shame me out of the office if I tried to stay over my allotted 8 hours by playing my audition files that I sent to them for projects they were working on.
Like through the speakerphone?
Yes, through the entire office.
I hope someone recorded that. That sounds like really good like fodder for like at least HR material.
Nah, I think that was just like consensual office hazing. You know, what happens there stays there.
The fun times that stay at NIS. So tell me all about your future NIS America projects that are going on.
Well, we got Reverie coming out. I'm excited for that.
Let's be real. When we last talked, which feels like an entire Tales of series ago, if I had told you that we would be getting all this Falcom love, would you have believed it? Like back then we were getting all these from Zero?
At the time
Reverie?
when we were recording the first game, I would have, because the localization director had explicitly told me, like, we see the potential in this to be like the next Tales
this
of
would be back in the
franchise.
Exceed days when you were hearing this.
Right. True, that's true. But I mean, she got to work with NIS America too.
True.
So it's basically
that was
same
at least
thing.
the nice part. The publishing company's changed, but at least the like people working on it has remotely stayed very similar.
But like, I wonder how much farther we can go, because now we've got the games, we've got the anime, and now what's next? The fighting game, the dating sim, the KFC crossover event?
Realistically, I think the spin-off Metroidvania Kickstarter seems very apt.
What do you think is the most likely company that would do a crossover? Like, no one would have thought KFC and Genshin Impact.
Well, remember, KFC still owes us the console, so they're in the shitter right now. They still owe us that gaming console.
Oh, that's right.
The actual makes chicken gaming console.
Right,
That's a
right.
PC.
So that wasn't an April Fool's
No,
thing?
they said, they doubled down. They said it's coming. We don't know when, but they said it's coming, so.
It's just a modified air fryer.
We're just going to find out somebody at KFC Espanol hacked into the main KFC account.
Or an
and that's the only reason.
unoptimized PS5. So going back to the question, what do you think is the mega brand corporate company that would do a crossover event with Trails?
So
I'm thinking like Burlington Coat Factory.
No, they can't afford them probably, and I don't mean Burlington. I don't think Falcom can afford Burlington. Unfortunately,
Okay.
I've seen their budgets. We got to be realistic. When Falcom gets bougie, that's when they lose their humble origins. That's why we love them for their Tokyo Xanadu.
I mean, I'm as much an ass man as I am a bougie man. So
Do you need anything?
nope, we're good.
But I would say, like, realistically, like, because they are in such a weird kind of upwards trajectory, I'm at the point now where it's like, why have we not seen an Ease Trails crossover?
Because they're still busy releasing the same game for the 8th time.
Hey, Ease 10, it's going to change
I'm
everything.
pretty sure East 8 is about to overtake Skyrim with how many consoles it's been released on.
Listen, they made one of the best Vita games of all time, and they said,
what the fuck is a Vita?
It's in here.
I've never heard of that word before. You don't speak that cursed word around me.
How many back touchpads have you caressed in your days, do you think?
Well, that is a euphemism for something. I'm just not sure for what yet.
I don't. You know what? I don't like this. In the post-Switch world, world, people changed. People, as soon as 2017 hit, they saw those Breath of the Wild graphics, and they went, you know what? I don't like the
Nothing
Vita
like
anymore.
fingerprints on Vita butts to get a gamer sweating under
It
the
does.
collar.
It's the good sweats. Those are the good sweats that you gotta mess and stuff.
It's the Viters instead of the vapors. It's the Viters.
No Vita fan, no one on Vita Island's gonna be like, you know what? We need to change our hashtag to Viters. Let's get this.
Just be careful
changing.
if you don't practice hygiene, you'll get a venereal disease.
But I mean, like, what other system can you think of as known for visual novels and ripping off other RPGs that didn't make it to that console?
It's probably some obscure Japanese console that was explicitly made to play H games from Comiket. Like, it's only sold there and it only plays those CDs.
Can I introduce you to a little series called Utawari Ramono?
Oh, I've played that one.
You know that started as an H game on PC.
Yeah.
That's got to be like, by the way, whoever at Atlas was like, hey, should we localize this title? No.
You know they have like a Steam Deck and they have like those mega carts that like contain all of the 3DS library or stuff like that. When are we gonna get like one of those one cartridge fits all that has every Flash hentai game from Newgrounds on a single thing?
No joke. If someone came up to me and was like, "Hey,
called the Steamy Deck."
Well, because you gotta, at least for me, when I think of like that era H Newgrounds game, I don't know how much this dates me. I think of Cosmo Kramer's Hentai Adventure. That's got to be the headliner.
What was the one? It was like a multi. It's not Filthy Frank. What was the multi part that had some guy named Frank and he went around and did favors? And it was the same genre as like when Cartoon Network did that the Summer Island.
I think you're thinking of the Kramer ones. They were Kramer from Seinfeld.
No, it wasn't a celebrity thing though.
I mean, is Kramer on Newgrounds in 2004 a celebrity?
I need to search up Frank.
There might have been a ripoff for it, but I remember there was a part of me that wow, I wasn't ready for the porn fan and the Seinfeld fan of me to have a crossover on this internet day. But
it was called Frank's Adventure.
It was.
It was straight up just Frank's Adventure 4, which is the one that I played the most.
Oh, I was ready for you to say I'm in this one.
It's called Frank's Adventure 4. Hold on.
If Frank's 5 is coming out, would you audition for it?
I probably would, as one of the girls.
I like to think that Frank 5 would get really modern. We'd be like, you know what, Frank's going for everyone. There's no one Frank's not going for these days.
It's so funny.
I
thought it was something fancier, but it's literally just Frank's Adventure.
Frank. I'm really sad that I'm gonna have to research this up now. but yeah, it's nice to know that we can catch up by not talking about your famous career. You've become Spider-Man since I've last seen you, but we gotta talk about Frank's Adventure.
In Marvel's Avengers though.
Oh, but congratulations! I can't wait to see you into the Spider-Verse.
Right.
But can I just say, if we're gonna be tweeting random Spider-Man voice actors, we gotta do all of them. We can't just be like, "Where's Nicolas Cage?" I want people tweeting at
you gotta find the Italian Spider-Man from the soap opera drama that came out.
If you had to be sandwiched between a Spider-Man on the Japanese-only poster, what's two Spider-Men do you want to be sandwiched in between?
Wait, what?
So remember how people were like, "Oh my God, Spectacular Spider-Man's in this Japanese poster. He must be in it." So not obviously. Let's just say you're in the new Spider-Verse because who cares? No one's gonna ask you anyway. Who do you want to be sandwiched between?
I want to be sandwiched between the Costco brand Spider Hero,
specific Costco brand,
and the Spirit Costumes Webman.
What does that say about Square Enix, Marvel's Avengers, Spider-Man? That's where they put you between. They're like, Sean, you deserve to be in between the store knockoff.
It can be like Culex in Super Mario RPG, where it's completely not where it belongs, but it's a Square Enix thing, so of course it makes sense.
So I've got to ask, as a realistic fan of your work and also video games as a whole, was you getting cast as Spider-Man? Did they let you know it was going to be a double-edged sword? You're like, you're going to be Spider-Man, but also half of our fan base can't play you. So is that one of those weird ones of just because I can't think of a time where Spider-Man was announced where people were more mad.
I was just more focused on not being a terrible Spider-Man performance, so not being too anime compared to everyone else.
I was at least glad. I forget who did the vocal direction on that one for Marvel's Avengers, but I was just glad because as much as I love him and people know that I have an unhealthy relationship with him, I'm glad they were not do your best Yuri.
Right.
I'm glad they gave you a different pitch with it, which was nice.
So,
But yeah, so like, how's the convention circuit been treating you? I know you've been like beat bopping around and stuff. This is like the first one of the year for you, right?
Relatively decent. I wish the Cosmos would stop treating it like any time I do well at a convention that something breaks that costs about the same amount to fix.
You gotta manifest it. You gotta be like, don't not break for me. You gotta be like, what $1,000 bill can I run into when I come home this week?
I'm worried because like a lot of people come here for D-Luke, but like D-Luke's not going to be relevant forever, and it's like it's obvious it's all about D-Luke.
I
Like,
came into that panel. Those Genshin fans are mean. What are they being like? Listen, I don't like your pull rate, so I don't like you as a person.
brings up Rivali. Very few people bring up Draken.
Real talk, because I always meant to like reach out to you for this, but I felt so bad. It was like such a weird thing for it. Legitimately, I hope people have said this, but I cannot tell you how much I fucking love how much you killed it in Age of Calamity.
I'm so proud of
it. Was the whole cast killed it in that game.
Yeah, I know.
There was so much awesome work.
That's why I feel so bad, because I feel like Amelia Gotham, I think I have her name right, the woman who voiced Mipha.
Yes,
I thought she had the strongest growth out of the entire cast between Breath of the Wild and Age of Calamity. I genuinely, unironically think she was the best performance out of all of us, but she doesn't do conventions because of, in part, how roughly people treated or critiqued her performance during Breath of the Wild.
Really?
Yeah.
That's such a shame.
I could be wrong, but my
She was
understanding was
great.
that a lot of people on forums were just so vitriolic about it, and I know that she's the kind of person that would check, so I don't blame her for being like, I don't want to put myself in a public space.
No, yeah, because
like
like
that.
it's like, why put yourself out there if that's what you think's going to happen?
So I just really wish she'd give it another chance, because I know that there's folks that are trying to do the whole getting a signature from both the champions and their descendants, and there's a couple folks that just you never see at these events.
But yeah, I'm glad at least that like you feel as strongly, because like for me at least, and a lot of like the friends I know like who are either Warriors fans or like Zelda fans, like Age of Calamity, I feel like it's going to be looked back on in 10 years as like what an under discussed kind of game.
I think, but still not as much as Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition. There is so much content in the original Hyrule Warriors. Ridiculous amounts.
It's the game you could, speaking of the game you could just keep releasing a million times. Like that would be the kind of edge case with it. But like, biased, dumb fan merge question that I want to ask you the obvious Breath of the Wild 2 question. The real question is, how mad are you that in this, we're going to make an amiibo out of everybody? You voiced 2 characters who are pretty easy to just make a color palette swap of. Where's your second Breath of the Wild amiibo?
You mean for Teba?
Yeah!
I have one.
Well, I mean, but we gotta get the real one made in China with the blood, sweat, and tears of the little kids in there.
No, that's terrible.
Allegedly.
At least do the teenagers so they know what they signed up for.
That's true. The teenagers who make the iPad Pros, they've got the better sweat that keeps up longer, the paint doesn't drip as well.
You're going to hell.
No. Yeah, they've got the good ones for it. But
you're going to go to hell, and they're going to give you exclusive Spider-Man content, but they're also going to give you an Xbox.
Sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. Yeah.
Because I want to make you get up. Can you take a picture of me and these lovely ladies over there? You look like a good photographer.
Do you have a phone?
Alright, so this is the part where I just say the worst shit about this man imaginable. Like, this man has cake like you wouldn't believe. What? No, I'm just talking. I'm talking into a phone. This man has it's his birthday every day because the cake is ever present. It is majestic. Like, I just watched him saunter, you guys, and I'm already about to throw the money I made at this convention his way. So if you ever happen to hear this, I just want you to know that you put a candle in that crack and I will blow it out any day.
I can't believe you just gave my whole social security code into the microphone. I'm more impressed you remembered it. I told you in secrecy 6 years ago.
I know.
That was the code.
Listen, an Indian prince told me if I provided it that I would have like $2.3 million in my bank account.
When you decided to get off Facebook, I said, give me your account and I'll give you my social security number. And we said, that's a fair trade. You had, I think, at least 20 Facebook
I actually got
likes.
fleeced. I had someone back in the Bitcoin era days that I stupidly transferred like $2,500. No, I think it was more. I think it was like $5,000 to, so he would invest it for me. And he fucked off with it and never heard from him again. So I fell prey to it. Wasn't even 80 years old before I got hit.
I told you, when you met Markiplier at that VidCon, I was like, I didn't like him back then. He was a bad guy and he did you wrong. I was like, it was clearly he should have used your money better the way you invented it for it. But no, man, I'm glad you're doing well. I know life obviously has got a...
I hope I'm doing well. I hate to bring the mood down, but that surgery on Thursday, man, like, it's make or break.
The Veters are praying for you. We're going to put it out there. We're going to give you the good vibes.
I know it's a low number, but it's not 0, so it's going to be on my head until then. As long as I can get past that, that is like the one thing this month that has me concerned.
Here's a good one. Let's try and like at least give it on a high note. When it succeeds, I'm being that guy.
Right.
What's the first meal you're eating? You're done.
A smoothie, because I'm not allowed to have solid food
I know,
for like
but
a week
what's
after that.
what's the I'm happy, I'm celebrating meal?
I'm gonna just go straight to work. That's honestly it. No, I'm serious. There are a lot of people scheduling me in the weeks to come. There's conventions I gotta go to, and my big fear is that I'm gonna have to let them all down. So I'm not even focused on food. When everything goes well, the first thing I'm doing is following up and making sure I have everything on paper in terms of what I gotta do.
When you're always moving a million miles an hour, especially doing stuff like whether it be for work or online stuff, when's your slow time? What are you bored?
When I sleep. But let me tell you, when I'm always on, when I finally go off, the sleep is deep, and it is a very restful sleep. So that's just how I work, baby.
Gotta pay the bills, gotta pay the roof. All three of them.
Yep.
But man, I appreciate you getting to chat with me.
Yeah,
I'm
dude,
sure,
it's good getting to hang out.
I'm sure we will talk about Demon Gaze 4 in episode 400 from
Waiting
now.
for Demon Gaze 2 Extra. I need it.
You gotta
I need
get Demon
another
Gaze
excuse
Extra
to play
1
it.
first.
All right.